You are balanced in mind, body, and spirit, with balance, poise, and stability. By strengthening your awareness of the Christ within you, you express your divinity and humanity. By strengthening your awareness of the Christ within you. Long ago and far away, before the world had come to this, I took for granted how my life would be, assuming that my freedoms would be free. Before these evening shadows fell, I reveled in the light of day. I rarely ever cried, my patience wasn't tried, and heroes never died. But if I had my way, things would be different. Danger wouldn't come from a sky of blue. Choices would be clear, strangers would be kinder, love a little blinder. Has it saved the day? If I had my way. Every now and then, it seems we live our lives to such extremes, racing all around, never homeward bound, losing what we found. But if I had my way, things would be different. No one would believe that a lie was true. Choices would be clear, wisdom would be heeded, warnings never needed. This is what I pray. If I had my way, the milk of human kindness would seek us out and find us and color all the words we'd say.
Thank you, Millie Edwards. This is another short story about Millie. She first came to us through spirituality and all that jazz, and I had never met her, and I don't think the rest of the band had either. She was in her early days. And Millie is very regimented, and she is an organizer, and she's on point. And she walked through that door, and you would have thought that it was the Queen of England or somebody, because she was snapping her fingers and telling everybody what to do and where to do and when to do it. And after the first rehearsal, the pianist and I looked at each other and said, wow, where did she come from? And that was, what, 30 years ago? 30 years ago, she's been around as well. So love her dearly. She's become a good friend during that time. This is happy July 4th. Happy the day that we celebrate and declare our independence. Could we just show the Declaration of Independence on the screen for a moment? It reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all," and I'm going to paraphrase this, "that all people are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That is the way it is for Americans. Now, aren't we fortunate that we have that Declaration of Independence? At the same time, some 240 years later, or 340 years later, whatever it is, it seems like it was posted as an ideal, and it really isn't something that we've accomplished as of yet. The very language, all men are created equal, all people are created equal. That's men and women. And we know that we haven't arrived at that point yet. Women are not equal in this country, unfortunately. And there's a lot of other different races and nationalities that aren't equal either. But that doesn't mean it's built on false premises. It simply means that we have an ideal that we're striving for, and I think that we're making great headway at times. Now, taking it out of the national part to the individual part, I don't think we as individuals truly grasp that either. I don't think that we feel that we have the right to pursue happiness, or that we have liberty, and that we have all the other things that our Declaration of Independence guarantees us. If we did, we wouldn't suffer like we do through much of our lives. Now, if you have an injury, a physical injury of some sort, if you cut yourself, the minute that happens, the body initiates different actions to protect that cut and begins healing it immediately. It's upon us, it's our responsibility to assist in that healing by keeping it clean and putting good stuff on it, making sure that it doesn't get further injured. But when it comes to our emotional state, when something happens that really hurts, when something happens that fractures a relationship with another person, when something happens where we feel badly about ourselves, and we all know that hurt, we've had that pain before. When we have that kind of hurt, somehow we have a reluctance to turn to that internal healing, that spiritual power that we have, to move beyond it. Instead, we keep recalling it over and over and over. And that has a tendency to wear us down, to tire us out, and to weaken us. There are 5 things that cause us to go into a backspin. And I'm just going to show these to you in a second here. One is comparison to others. And whenever we do this, it results in a feeling that we're not as good as we should be. And no matter who you are, no matter how far you've advanced in life, no matter how spiritually evolved you are, if you look around, you can see somebody that you can compare yourself to and feel like you are less. Comparisons and competition in everyday life with our relationships just don't seem to work. Number 2, feeling a lack in our lives and being oblivious to the blessings in our lives. How many times we fall into the trap like, I don't have anybody to love me, or I don't have enough money to make it through this week, or I just don't have enough friends, I'm not as popular as I should be. All those little things that we think are lacking in our lives, yet the blessings abound tenfold every single place we look. Blessings are everywhere, but sometimes we focus on what we don't have. And sometimes it doesn't make any difference if we have it or not. The third one is feeling stuck with no place to go, which translates to a lack of growth. Oftentimes this is referred to as falling into a rut of some sort. And once again, we've all been there at some point in our lives where it just feels like nothing is happening, like we're stuck, like there's no movement, there's no growth. I don't feel an exhilaration for life. I am just here doing the same thing day after day after day. The fourth thing is a lack of physical movement in the body. Now, a lot of people poo-poo exercise. It doesn't make that much difference. But when we move the body and we generate energy, it also comes with endorphins, which are the happy chemical within our body. We need movement in our body in order to supply the body itself with a sense of happiness. And the fifth one is living the vast majority of our time in the past or the future. Now, as human beings, we process approximately 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% of those thoughts are repetitive. They're thoughts that we thought the day before that, the day before that. 95% of the repetitive thoughts are in the past or in the future. They're not here in the present moment where we can actually experience something live, but actually in the past, sometimes we have remorse, we have guilt, we have shame. We can dredge all sorts of ugly things up from the past, and we can focus on them, and we can totally miss the experience that we have of life in the present moment. The future is very much the same, except that it's, in the past, we know what happened. We know what took place, and we know how it affected us. In the future, we don't know. We can guess. And most times when we guess, we move towards that fearful perspective. Oh my gosh, what if this happens? Oh my gosh, what if so-and-so does that? Oh my gosh, what if the pandemic comes back? Oh my gosh, what if the Russians bomb us? Oh my God. All these horrible things we project into the future, and 92% of the things we worry about in the future never take place. 92%. And experts in human research tell us that the other 8% we're usually able to manage for the most part. Now, we all go through these things. We all go through the ups and downs of life. And I've asked Robert and Millie and Cassie Bender to share with me on a panel this morning to talk about difficult times in their life and how they were able to come unstuck or to share insights that they've gained along the way. So, Millie, would you please come forward? And Cassie's on her way, running down from the balcony. Here she comes. See, I contacted these people earlier this week, and I told them about independence and how even though we celebrate it, sometimes it's beyond our grasp. And I asked them to share different things that have happened in their life or probably, possibly happening currently, and just talk about that struggle to keep your thoughts on track in a positive way where you can move forward to really capture what life has for you, the rich rewards that life has for you, instead of moving around that same old dusty circle of thinking the same thing over and over and over, and quite frankly, beating ourselves up over it. So, Millie, I'm going to start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've learned along the way.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I talked to Duke earlier this week, and we were talking about the lesson today, and I shared with him my thoughts. And ironically enough, I'm sitting on the panel. Anyone who knows Duke knows he'll get you. I grew up, it's true. I grew up in Independence, Missouri. I've been married, we had our anniversary Monday. I've been married 35 years. I teach. Some of you know I had 25 years as an executive at AT&T, and I took a buyout when Southwestern Bell purchased them, and I thought, what do I want to do? And so for the last 14 years, I've been the reading coordinator at Penn Valley Community College. And I love that. I love that career because I'm changing someone's life, and I'm growing and learning, because as I tell my students, the day you stop learning, you've made your transition. Because everything I thought I knew, that people over 30 and people over 40 and people over 50, they're evil. That is so horrible because now I'm one of them, okay? But I also share with them that everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. And I tell them what you see in front of you, you can be better than. My parents always told me, be the best you can possibly be. Know that there are people that are better off, more talented, and there's also people that are worse off. And I am glad they pounded that into me because that assists me in seeing people as who they are and meeting them without any judgment, which is another thing they shared with me. You cannot judge because you don't know where people came from, and everybody's got the story. And the ironic thing is when people meet me and when my students see me, they think, wow, her life must have been good and perfect. My life was good because I was able to have two parents that loved me. They focused on the things that money could not buy. I loved them and they loved me. But unfortunately, life is the equalizer. I remember the first time I didn't get a promotion because I was black and I was a woman. I remember losing my mom, my dad, my brother. I remember grief so deep that I would just not come home. I would pull over on the side of the road and cry so hard and get out of the car and throw up. I remember all those things, but it made me stronger. Bad times make you stronger, and when you hear other people's stories, it causes you to realize that you're not alone. Because everybody's going through something. And it makes you realize that you're not alone, and it also makes you realize that you are connected. When I went to the Grand Canyon, I thought, man, I'm nothing in the scheme of things. I am absolutely nothing. And when I hear somebody's stories about their struggles, it makes me cry, but it makes me realize that we're humans. And we are connected, and we learn from each other, and we need each other. That's what got me through the bad times, putting one foot in front of the other and continuing. Because I wake up, Duke, and I think, all right, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna brush my teeth, I'm gonna wash my face, I'm gonna comb my hair, I'm gonna do this all over again. There's got to be more. But that is what life is, redundancy. But you keep putting one foot in front of the other, and miraculously enough, you make it through, and you're ready for the next event, because there will be another event. But I was taught life is what you make of it, and I want to be the best I can possibly be.
Yeah, I think that's an important message, Millie. When you're in those difficult times, it's kind of like you're in a tunnel, and it's totally dark, and you don't know how you got there or why you're there, and you don't even know if you should be moving or not. But you put one foot in front of the other until there's just that little speck of light way off in the distance, and eventually you come out of the darkness and into the light, and you've healed, and you've got a perspective that can see you through to much higher levels of rich experience in life. Thank you so much. Robert.
You know, the question on how to face each day for me is realizing that we all identify ourselves in a certain way. I am this, I am that. And so for me, questioning, you're talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And a lot of times, I think the pursuit of happiness has to do with that future thinking, you're thinking, well, I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I'm that person. I'll be happy when I play something perfectly. I'll be happy when, whatever you want to fill in the gaps. And the truth is, what I've discovered is that happiness is only in the present moment. You cannot have it in the past, and you cannot have it in the future. And so when I have this turmoil or feelings of, well, things aren't going right, I'll meditate. I will write. Writing is really, really good because you have to let those thoughts out. You have to see what you're thinking before you can heal. I mean, you have to. One thing that I've discovered years ago was Byron Katie. I don't know how many of you know the work of Byron Katie, but she just has 4 simple questions to any thought you might have. Is it true? Can I absolutely know it's true? Who am I when I think that thought? And then the kind of mind blower, who would I be without that thought? And then you start to realize that your sense of identity can be flexible. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't have to be tied to doing music. And it doesn't have to be tied to anything, really. And then a sense of freedom can start to percolate inside of you where there's lots of options. And you look at everyone else as they're they might be trapped in their identity. And I see this a lot and I do this too, where you're trapped in who you think you are. And so for me, what life is really about is peeling those layers back where, no, this isn't who I really am. Who am I? And I think Unity says it great. What's the first tenet of Unity? There's only God, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you really get to that experience of, well, there's only God, then what's the problem? And that doesn't mean you don't see problems in the world, because there's problems in the world. But you can act in a spirit of freedom and let's fix this rather than I'm going to fight you. And we have a lot of that right now. I'm going to fight you. Because people are scared of losing their identities. They're scared. Well, I'm this kind of person, so I have to stand up for it. And I think that's all.
Excellent. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Reverend.
you're welcome.
I want to give you a little bit of a preface to this, to Cassie. About 10 years ago, I'd been on vacation. I came back. We were looking for a custodian at that time, and she was an applicant. And so I came back, and the person I was working with said, I want you to interview this girl. They brought Cassie in. We talked. She was very pleasant. She left, and I looked at the person that brought her in. She can't do that job. I mean, she can't haul tables. She can't, I don't see her cleaning toilets. How did she even get through the door? And the person, it was Sharon Kelly, actually, who said, give her a chance. You got to give this girl a chance. And so I did, and she served as custodian for 10 years and did an outstanding job. And then when he had the big layoff here about a year ago, and we went from 12 people down to 8, she was the one that was left on, and since that time she just escalated up the ladder to being one of my right-hand people. And she's just outstanding in the job. She brings a fresh, new, young perspective to things, and she's kind to elders. That's a huge point. So Cassie, what do you have to say?
Well, thanks for the intro. Yeah, so I've been here about 12 years, and it's definitely interesting sitting here on stage, looking at everyone's faces, opposed to being up at the sound tower and looking at the back of your heads. But it's lovely, so I'm very grateful to be here. I think part of the reason that I came up here was because a struggle that I faced along the way, and for me, that was an addiction to alcohol. And I struggled with that for a good portion of my life. And about 3 years ago, I realized I was stuck, and I was living the same day every day, and nothing was changing. Days were just passing by, and There was no growth. I was just physically, mentally, spiritually sick, and so I needed to make a change, and I was scared. I was scared of what my life would look like without this kind of crutch that I'd been using for so long. Alcohol was part of everything that I did, and what I needed was, to go. I went to meetings, and I needed to see people. I needed to see other people that had dealt with the same struggle and had gotten past it. And I needed to see that quite a few times. I went for almost a year before I actually believed what I saw and gave it a try myself. What I need is just a little bit of the possibility that something could be different. Just that possibility in my mind that maybe it could be different. Maybe I could live a different life. And by doing that, I'm able to walk through fears. I'm able to take on new things that limited me for a really long time. When I started working here, I was like, will never work a desk job. I am a person that needs to be on my feet. And it was because I was scared that I didn't have the ability to do that type of work, that I wasn't, intelligent enough to be able to hold my own behind a computer. Maybe a month ago, you would have heard me say, I like to be behind the scenes. That's where I'm of most use. And here I am on stage. But what I'm finding is when it comes to facing a fear, if it's something that can be of use to somebody else, then for me, every time it's been worth facing that fear. And I've survived all of it. I mean, I'm sitting here today. Nothing has, broken me yet. I've needed the community, and I texted Duke last night, and I'm like, I think just Millie and Robert, it'll be fine. Because I was scared, and I wanted out. And that's usually my go-to is run, And he said, well, that wouldn't be fair to you. And that's true. I would miss out on an experience. I might walk away with some regrets of not trying, not showing up. I want to be that person that shows up. I want to be that person that is reliable and that's willing to walk through things that I'm afraid of. And I need my community. I've been very lucky to have an AA community that supported me and loved me, but I have a community here. I've been here 12 years, and I have a lot of people that have done nothing but cheer me on, and that was another thing Duke said. It's all love. If you get up there and you're honest and you're open, all you're going to receive is love, and of course I am. I haven't seen differently in the last 12 years. I've got a wonderful community that sometimes I forget to lean on. And that's what it's about, is the connection. That's how I can do scary things, is by knowing that I've got people that I can lean on, that love and support me. Yeah.
And we lean on you. We lean on you. We lean on you. You make our jobs easier. Who do I call first? Who do I call first when I have a question? Not Duke. I lean on you.
That's true.
That is so true, Cassie. We couldn't do it without you. I'm serious.
Well, thank you guys.
I do know that. I do. When it comes to counting blessings, I count my blessings for these three every single day. And because I'm in greater proximity to Cassie, we have a lot of interactions. But 99.9% are good. It's only on occasion where she will refute what I say and argue a point.
Keep it up.
That ends up being right down the line. And so I learned to listen to her. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for being here and for sharing some of your innermost thoughts. We truly appreciate it. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thanks, Duke.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move into meditation, so make yourself comfortable. Millie, would you sing us in to meditation?
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Once again, situate yourself so you're comfortable. And keep your spine straight. Take a deep breath. Hold it for a second or two. And slowly exhale. And slowly take another breath. Breathe out. As our breathing begins to slow down, our thoughts begin to slow down, our mind begins to slow down, and we find a sense of peace that isn't always present. We find a sense of security. And we come to learn that there is a place within us that is our refuge. It's where we meet God. It's where we're free from the ugly thoughts of the past or the fearful thoughts of the future. And we just rest easy in that place. There's an old story about a man who was on one side of a huge lake and he wanted to get to the other side because that's where his family was. And he started out in his little rowboat, and pretty soon the storms came in. The water was rough, the waves were high. Lightning lit the sky, thunder boomed all around him. But he kept rowing, and knowing no matter what, he would make it to the other side. And with that kind of confidence in knowing whatever we're facing, we will make it through to the other side where we will find rest, relaxation, inspiration, and a new wave of strength. So now move into the silence to rest easy and know we are never alone. The light will always be there in the silence. very slowly and gently begin to bring yourself back to this time and this place. And as you do so, try to put a smile on your face, hope in your heart, spark in your eye. As you go forth on your unique and individual path of life, a path that's not always smooth walking, but nevertheless it always leads to your higher good. And so it is. Amen.
America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red, brown, yellow, black, and white. We're all precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, forever waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Millie, and thank you, Robert. This is a time when we take a moment to express our gratitude for all the good stuff in our lives, the people sitting next to you, the people that you're meeting later today. Everything that's out there is 90% blessings, and there's a few challenges in the wake of it. We had a final video we're going to show, but it was America the Beautiful, and we think 3 times might be a little over the top, so we're going to let the video pass for now. But we are grateful for the life that we have to live, for the future that is promised to us, and for the great capacity that each of us has to go forth and create a wonderful and beautiful life. We'll close today with the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God upholds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. And please stand for the peace song.
peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other